Alright everybody, welcome to the Dutchcast podcasting Maastricht student life. My name is Sterken.
And my name is Fran Dukas.
And today we'll take you to the main spots and hangouts for getting some food and drinks when the weather is nice here in Maastricht. Let's introduce ourselves a bit further before we get into that though. My name is Sterken, I am 19 years old, I study fiscal economics at the School of Business and Economics, the SBE of Maastricht University, and I am the independent producer and the host of this podcast.
My name is Fran, I study law, I'm 22 years old, I've been in Maastricht for almost 3 years now, and I'm the content coordinator of Mymaastricht, an organization based in the city to give students information about moving here. I'm really happy to be here, Zia.
Thank you very much. I'm also really excited to start off with the first episode because we've been talking about this. We've been mailing, me and the organization have been mailing about this for quite some time already, so it's super cool to finally sit here and start things off. So let's first give a bit of a background. Why did I contact Maastricht for this? I would say that for me, what I noticed when I came here, I'm Dutch, so I noticed that there was some kind of discrepancy. What I noticed was that international students, because most of my friends were international students, they asked for me quite obvious questions. So for example, where should I buy groceries? Where should I buy school utensils? How should I get my BSN number? Like those basic things. And upon Googling, I found that there was already this information on the website of Mymaastricht. So I referred them back to them, but I also, perhaps it would be an idea to make it in informal fashion as well. So I contacted the organization and that's how we rolled out.
Yeah, exactly. So we're really happy to collaborate here and give information about the city. We're starting off the first episodes with, like Zia said, the main hangouts for students, where to get a nice cheap meal or a good coffee, what to do when the weather is nice, as well as indoor activities.
Just as a quick disclaimer, by the way, these are all our personal opinions. We are not endorsed by any of the names that we mention right here, and this podcast has been made in collaboration with Mymaastricht, of course, but also with Universiteit Maastricht's Inner City Library. They provided us the podcast equipment, so let's get straight to it. Okay, we first have to make a distinction. I would say that between student hangouts, you either have within the inner city, the city center, or like the outskirts of the city. You have very differing experiences depending on where you're at. But what would you say, Fran, which are some major places to go to in the city center?
Alright, so the city center is where most things are happening, although there are some pretty great sort of secret gems more in the outskirts of the city, so you should never be scared to, venture a little bit outside of the traded path. But some of the main spots, I would say, at least some of my favorites, for example, to have a coffee. There's places like Coffee, Zondag, Alley Cat, Buy Some Coffee, Cafe Zoid. I don't know, Zia, if you can add any to this list.
So there's a very renowned, like every student here in the city knows it. It's Coffee Lovers.
Of course.
It's a bit of an obvious choice, but you, for example, have at Plein 1992, you have this big Coffee Lovers, and it's when it's sunny outside and you have the terrace and you're sitting with everybody there. It's a great place to hang out. Next to that, I would also say, like, for meals.
Yeah, for meals, there's also, let's be honest here, Maastricht can be a little bit more expensive than people might be used to, especially if you're coming from neighboring countries. It's a little bit of a shock for some, but there are plenty of great student spots out there where you can get a meal for a reasonable price. So some popular places, for example, are Bread and More, a really nice little like corner store where you can get awesome sandwiches and snacks. There's Dadawan on the road near the train station, and they have incredible Asian fusion dishes, like these like bowls full of amazing stuff. There's also Alapaco if you want Spanish tapas. I hope you're picking up a little bit of an international theme here. We've gone from Asian to Spanish to sandwiches. There's also Rosanna for like, I think they also do like international meals and fusion, really great place with cheap prices and very homemade things. And of course, Kato by Kato, a classic, close to the library. You can just see people queuing outside at lunchtime, especially during exam season. Everyone just beelines for Kato.
I would also say that is the case for Dadawan. Like if you go there and if you're not early, you will not be able to eat for at least half an hour.
For sure, yeah. But I mean, it speaks to how great the place is,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say that in Maastricht, you have to go where the people are. You can see them queuing outside, and those are usually the places where you can get the best quality of food.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's also a couple of SBE spots that I always see people queuing outside.
Yeah, so you have Make and Take, for example. It's run by two people. They make like these easy sandwiches. All the Germans go there. This is not a joke. And like, everybody right after the classes, before classes, just a quick sandwich. Panos for fast students, but also regarding the outskirts of the city. You have Restaurant Mama, it's called. It's near this big park. It's a strip along this green strip along the city, and they have also quite some good meals and nice
really
coffee.
Cool retro vibe. It's very colorful and nice. Yeah, great spot. All right, so next we're going to talk a little bit about what to do when it gets nice outside. So spring is here, and now we're having a little bit of shitty weather, but can we swear? Sorry. Okay, now we're having not so great weather, but when it gets better, we definitely have some recommendations for you guys. So one thing you should know about Maastricht is, of course, the city is beautiful, it's medieval, it's cobblestone streets, but the nature around is also super underrated, in my opinion. And what's so great about it is that you can just walk for 10 minutes or cycle for 10 minutes, and you're surrounded by green fields and maybe even a forest or a vineyard.
A lot of international students are surprised by the sheer amount of nature that's located in the city. I would say that indeed, regardless which direction you'll be going, you will have some kind of park or forest or something like that in the vicinity. Yeah,
so some recommendations for you guys just to get started on your nature adventures. So St. Petersburg, obviously the quote-unquote mountain that we have here, it's more of a hill.
It's the tallest elevation of the Netherlands. I feel offended.
Well, we're very proud of it over here in Maastricht, even though it's a glorified hill. But it's a beautiful place. There's a fort on it. Yeah, no, we call it a mountain. Yeah, we don't talk about it. But yeah, great views of the city. Amazing little like paths to walk along. Great for running as well. And there is a fort there. So definitely check that out. There's also Bemmelen, really nice nature spot as well. Oostmarland for your little hikes. And there's also the Fort Ibn Emael, which has some pretty interesting World War II history. I think it was the first place that was raided by the Germans.
Yeah, it was the place that was first raided. Like the first air raid in history actually happened at Ibn Emael. Unfortunately, they were the victims rather than that they were the executors, and they were the first place that was taken by the Germans starting World War II, actually.
Okay, so a little bit of a dark history, but still a pretty cool historical spot. It's just crossing the border to Belgium, so you can cycle there, and I think there's a little bit of a nice hike to get up to it. So
yeah, it's interesting because you have two ways that you can go to Belgium, and both ways are via forest. So first of all, you have Lanaken, of course, and that's Flanders, that's Dutch-speaking Belgium, and it's alongside the river that you go there, and you have Tenay or Ibn Emael, and that's French-speaking Belgium, and that's alongside these hills, and it's a way different vibe.
Yeah, I think you have some cliffs and stuff also over there. It's really cool.
It's
definitely recommend.
Beautiful. Within the city, I would say, You have some minor parks, so for example, Tapijn. When you go here, immediately know where it is. Stadspark, that's where all the parties happen late at night. You have some green areas like Aldenhof Park, that's so and so. But an underrated one, which is a major park in Maastricht, is the Hoge en Lage Frontenpark, better known as the line of Dumoulin. And basically what that is it's near the church, near the student hotel as well. And what in principle it used to be like a fort. But what happened was they dug out like these I wouldn't call them canals, but like these
trenches.
Trenches. But they aren't like small trenches.
They're pretty like wide,
pretty wide.
Yeah, canyon, not a canyon, but like tiny canyons. I would
tiny
say.
Canyon, baby canyon.
Yeah, baby canyons.
Man-made baby canyon.
Yeah, really cool place. I think also I've seen like people release their sheep into the park.
Yeah.
So sometimes you walk and there's just a bunch of sheep chilling there.
Yeah, I talked with like the shepherd over there.
Yeah.
So what it is the sheep, they keep the grass low. So what they do is they roam around with the sheep, and when the grass is cut low enough, then they move to a different place. So the sheep get fed.
And the grass gets cut.
And the grass gets cut.
Amazing. This is your typical Dutch efficiency right there at work.
I would say so, but it's awesome because you have like the elevation. We can't call it a hill, we can't call it a mountain.
Absolutely
but
not.
There's still like
really cool place. Yeah, and you feel like you're a little bit in the wilderness, even though it's kind of in the middle of the city. So it's great to get some fresh air, clear your head, take a break from studying. I love that place so much. So yeah. Good recommendation there, Zia.
Perfect. All right, last thing. What happens when it gets dark?
Ooh, alright.
It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday, what?
Alright guys, we're gonna touch on a iffy topic over here, that of house parties. So, as Mymaastricht, I'm obliged to say that we do not endorse students holding house parties at all, but we are aware that they will happen. So we'd rather that you guys are aware of the rules and the laws and the potential fines that you could get so you can avoid all of these.
We're not angry, we're just disappointed.
So, yeah, just to go over quickly, house parties are, they're a little bit of a gray area subject. They will happen, of course. It's a student city. There's plenty of them going on all the time. So if you're gonna throw a house party, the first thing that you should really do is just talk to your neighbors, guys. Like, ask for their permission, see if they're okay with it. Maybe you could even invite them to avoid noise complaints and just upsetting everyone around you.
If you have a student house, then that's definitely an option.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's I've actually been to a house party once, and the neighbors sort of quote-unquote blackmailed the people that were throwing it to invite them, otherwise they would file a noise complaint.
I mean, I do have to be honest, when it was the first week that I came here, my neighbors also threw a party, and I couldn't sleep. They opened the window and they were like, "What are you knocking on the wall for? Like, we're partying here." And I was like, "Oh, can I join, guys?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure, come over." So I rushed down the stairs, I rushed up the others, and yeah.
Amazing. So it works out. I mean, it's a win-win for both you and your neighbors. So definitely have a conversation with them beforehand, and see if you can, apply diplomacy to be able to have a good night. But yeah, otherwise your neighbors, especially if you don't live in a student house, noise complaints are very common with these things. And noise complaints, if there are enough of them, can get the police to actually, come and break up the party. Yeah. If the police gets involved, then you have things like fines, and maybe even warnings or things like this that can go on your permanent record. Just stuff that you don't want. So of course, be respectful, especially if, it's going past, after midnight, you should always be mindful of the volume.
Yeah, that's a good notion to say. So, in general practice, what we have is, after 11, throughout the week, there will usually be a heightened chance of the police pulling up if noises get too loud. And in the weekend, they tend to be a bit less... less intense, but after 1 a.m., please guys, just don't do it with 140 decibels. Just keep it down a bit.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
Also, just be careful of your guests, for example, if you are the one throwing a house party or if you're the one attending a house party. If you're hanging out in the street, you could even get arrested or fined for loitering or for nuisance. If you're publicly drunk, you can also get arrested or fined for public intoxication.
Yeah, if you're walking around with, for example, bottles of beer and they're open.
Yeah. Then you could definitely, and you run into police, you could also get a fine.
Yeah.
Also mind the drug use. You know, the Netherlands is very open about this, but there are certain things that you could still get in a lot of trouble for. If you want to know more about the laws regarding drugs and drug use and what's actually legal and not, you should definitely check out our page on Mymaastricht for that, because we break it down quite clearly so you know what to do and not. Again, we're not endorsing drug use. This is just for safety.
Also, one important thing that I would like to add is weed is actually not legal here. It's
decriminalized.
Yeah. Exactly. So you can have like a maximum of 5 grams of weed. Don't buy more, guys. Come on. Just don't.
I mean, they won't sell you more, but...
They won't sell you more, but then don't go to the other coffee shop and buy more, because if you then get caught, then they think either you're dealing or you're...
Yeah, it's not a joke to mess with it.
It's not a joke.
Yeah. I mean, just read up on the rules. We've got a great breakdown on the website. Definitely do that. Also, when it comes to, maybe attending a party, or if you're the one, again, hosting a party, you should be careful with the property you're hosting it in or you're attending, because you might, for example, be held liable if you break something in the house, whether you're the tenant or you're the guest. You should also check your contract. Your landlord might have explicitly stated that you're not allowed to throw house parties, and if you do and you get caught, your landlord might have a reason for actually kicking you out of your accommodation, which is not ideal.
Most likely they will also get rid of your security deposit. They will take that yourself, and that's a pretty significant amount of money to just lose on just one occasion.
Yeah. Also, of course, if you break things, you will be in charge yourself of replacing them, fixing them, and that might also affect your deposit and your general relationship with your landlord. Yeah. So, it's one house party. And like Zia said, it's a lot of money to spend on one night. So just be really careful and, have your wits about you and just be respectful.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in for the first episode of the Dutchcast, podcasting Maastricht student life, here in collaboration with Mymaastricht. Thank you very much, Fran, for being here.
Thank you for having me, Zia.
And for the Inner City Library for providing the podcast equipment. If you liked the episode, it would help us a lot if you would rate us on Spotify, because that would help the algorithm push us up more, and it would also help us
reach more students.
Yeah, reach more students within the city. Also, don't forget to follow the website of mymaastricht.nl for more future episodes and for more content regarding what we just discussed. And lastly, don't forget to follow the Instagram of Mymaastricht.
At Mymaastricht.
At Mymaastricht, where we will be discussing the content of future episodes and also give like a teaser, and we'll even host a poll very soon on the content of upcoming episodes.
Yeah, so you guys can actually vote on what you want to hear us talk about and have a say in what you can learn. So yeah, thank you so much, Thea. Again, this was great.